Ready. There we go. So we've been chatting, but welcome to anyone who's watching this later on. So I want to take a little bit of time tonight to quickly talk about Sunday school, what it is, what we're doing, and what we're doing particularly on Southside. And I thought it would be interesting to start. Okay, here we go. Test time. When do you think Sunday schools started? Have a guess.
It was certainly going in 1883.
It was definitely going in 1883.
And I would be guessing sometime during the Industrial Revolution, when kids started to be dragged away from their pleasant life into industry. Therefore, schools on Sunday were an effective way of learning. I won't go beyond that because I can't remember my industrial revolution dates. Yes, modern history. Yes,
that's right. Not real history to us ancient historians. It's just yesterday. Cool. Kylie, do you want to have a punt at a date?
Okay, I'm going to use Rod. 1842.
Ah.
For no other reason than it's a nice number.
Okay, so the first one was in Dursley, Gloucestershire in 1751, and probably know best, Robert Raikes starts one in 1781. And as Rod has said, Sunday school began because the children were all working through the week. So Sunday school began as school on Sunday. So the church realised, hey, all these children aren't learning to read and write and do sums, so we need to help those children by giving them school. What a lovely gift. As our Melbourne children would say, you've given us school, no.
Yes, you invented it.
So Sunday school began as this thing to help. And it probably didn't change terribly much until 1870's Education Act, which made, primary school type level education open for all people. So for about 100 years, or more than 100 years, it was aiming at teaching kids things like reading, writing, arithmetic type stuff, which means it's only, 150 and a bit years that it's been doing what we think of as Sunday school. So sometimes our struggle in the church of we have things and we go, it's always been this way. We've always had Sunday school. Well, we've had Sunday school as we sort of know it for 150 years, which if you think of over 2,000 years of church history, isn't much. So prior to that, children were in services and ministers had to think about how do we include everybody. Oh, what a radical thought.
Oh, wouldn't be multi-generational, would it?
Oh, who'd be multi-intergenerational? That would be crazy. So part of our challenge is, yes, we see Sunday school as this great educational thing, but as you two know, because you've been tuning in and listening to me gab on, Kylie's going, I know. The last 3 years almost. Wow. We're using this foundations of Here to Stay, of the Here to Stay material, which of course we're using. Synod is just trying to roll out not just with young people, but with all people, because they've realised that, the things that apply to young people apply to everybody. Who'd have thunk it? One of the key foundations for that is that faith formation happens in the family. And so traditionally, if you look back to Deuteronomy, every day the Jews pray what's called the Shema. Hear, O Lord, our God is one. Love the Lord your God with all your heart, soul, mind, etc., etc. Which ends with, teach these to your children when you walk and when you rise. Faith formation was meant to be happening to the family. As we got busy coming out of the Industrial Revolution to the 1900s, we went, let's outsource that to the church. The church can do all that faith formation. We'll just play happy families at home. Because, hey, the church has all these educated people and all these trained people. So particularly as you went into the mid-90s with the rise of paid youth workers, paid children's workers, why wouldn't you get someone who's paid and trained to teach your young people about the faith? Perfect sense. So definitely not having a go at anyone for going down that path, because it's logical. But what we as trained children's and youth workers realised was we're actually not the ones to do it, because we have maybe an hour with kids a week, maybe 2 if you get them in 2 different programs. So all up in a year, you're pushing to have 100 hours with them. Parents have heaps more than that a week. Carly's going, yes, especially when they're home sick. And so we realised
he can't talk, can he?
Oh, yeah.
Yes,
He can talk. Okay.
Yes, that was never an issue.
Right,
Nothing holds
okay.
back Ollie talking. So yeah, that struggle of why are we trying to do all of this when the parents are actually the ones that have the time and God has ordained to be in this role. So part of our push as we came into Southside, and one of the things that I would say COVID was a boost for us, was we went, let's relook at how we're doing faith education with our children. And so when we went online and into lockdown, I deliberately went, let's not start a Sunday school. So talking to other churches, they had Sunday school meetings on Sunday using various material. And I decided, let's not do that. Let's resource parents to be having those faith conversations with their children. And as COVID went on and lockdown went on, we started the midweek midweek video, Southside for Kids, in order to help that conversation. Yeah, okay, you've had a conversation on Sunday, let's build on that.
Yep.
That's morphed in I think it was 2022, we morphed that into, let's start to preload, let's look at the Sunday coming, which apparently not enough people wanted to know about at Amplify, so it got canned. But anyway, I'll unshare my... You probably don't know, Rod, but Amplify's been downgraded and we've moved to a different site, and a whole bunch of the electives have got wiped, and one of which is mine.
Yeah, well, I'm still getting lots of Amplify information, but because I wasn't going, I didn't study it. Maybe I should have read it a bit more. Okay.
If you read the one that came out today, it'll talk about how, or possibly talk about how things have changed. Maybe it doesn't. So we're still going ahead. Jock's nicely coming, but yes, because of lower than expected numbers, things have changed. And my things are anyway. So part of our aim at Southside has been, how do we engage, resource our families to be having these faith conversations? And so as we look at Sunday school, we want to try and remember Sunday school now is not the primary faith formation, faith education place. We want to try and make sure it doesn't appear and become like that. It's easy for us to fall back into where we were. We can see that in all sorts of areas of the church. You know, there were things that happened through COVID, and suddenly we've just slipped back into how things were. It's like, how do we keep moving forward? So this is my push to keep moving forward. But having said that, we recognise that an activity for children on Sundays can be helpful. Another of the, so that was one of the foundations. One of the pillars for Here to Stay is peer groups or peer age groups type stuff. So Sunday school becomes that place where our children can come together and form relationships of people their own age, which hopefully, as they go on, will continue to draw them into and keep them connected with the church. So we're not tucking Sunday school out because it still plays a role, but it's not that primary education, which I was talking 2 years ago at the Intergenerate conference with, his name's just gone out of my head, SU, who I've been working with.
Not Terry Williams, someone else.
Absolutely, Terry Williams. Thank you.
Absolutely, Terry.
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you. Sorry, Terry, your name skipped my head.
Yeah.
So he was saying, well, if you're doing that, why don't you change the name from Sunday school? It's like, yes, we'll get onto that one day. Hopefully this year might be the year that we do that. Like change it to something like just Sunday kids time or something where we go, this is not necessarily about, because Sunday school, who wants to go to school anyway on Sunday? So it makes it more attractive for the kids, but also helps to put on the board that this is not the main faith education place. But so we'll continue to have this activity at the moment until April. The plan is when on the first Sunday, Mount Gravatt and Tarragindi will both have it because they both have services. They both have children, so we'll have Sunday school there. The second week, there'll be no Sunday school because the family service is on Saturday. And we assume that most families who go on Saturday evening are probably not going to go Sunday morning because we're realists. I know some around the church might disagree with me. No, you don't. Others have said to me, oh, when I accidentally sent out last year the roster with accidentally putting those dates in, they went, oh, we won't be available for those because we're going on Saturday night. It's like, yes, I just had a brain fart and put dates in I shouldn't have, but so yes, so nothing on the second Sunday because family service. And that's deliberately aimed at families, particularly aiming at the kids. So let's do that well. Let's free up our things. And then the third Sunday, there's no service at Tarragindi. There is at Mount Gravatt, so Mount Gravatt will have Sunday school. And for the next couple of months, fourth Sunday is combined service. And we're thinking we'll try and do something special with the kids. Jock and I talking it through. There's a hope that maybe if we try to do something that is a bit similar to Saturday evening, that might be a connection point for Saturday evening families into Sunday morning. So as all things with children's ministry, you just try things and see what happens. So that's the thinking there, Kylie.
And I think that's good because it actually joins all the kids from all the congregations, which means they're getting to know each other, which means they're happy to come, which maybe they'll just come to one congregation for Sunday school anyway.
Yep. So it also combines them together. They'll see them at the family service. They see them at the combined service. Yay. Yes. There's that sense of, oh, I'd love combined services to be intergenerational, but maybe this is the place that we're in at the moment, that this is more helpful to take the kids out. So on Sunday at the combined service, we took them out, just so Kylie's probably worked out what we did. Rob doesn't know. Those are tuning in may or may not know. So we took them out, having watched a video of the parable of the unforgiving servant. And then we went out, did a quick go around the circle, say your name, your favorite food, and your favorite animal. Easy questions that everyone generally can answer, except for a few that just can't do a favorite. And then we did the godly play story of the parable of mustard seed. And so started thinking about, God talks about this kingdom. God talks about a kingdom of forgiveness. God talks about a kingdom that grows out of a mustard seed. Then they each got a bit of material and make a flag for heaven. How would you describe heaven? What would you see in it? Which is one of those things you go, I don't know how this will work. And it went reasonably well. You go, yay, because it could be a big flop. Kylie has these wonderful.
Good. You could ask the kids as they came back into church to tell what was on their flag.
Yep.
So it was good discussion for intergenerational in that way.
Yeah. And when they'd done the activity, we went around the circle, explain what's on your flag. And then we played some would you rathers because we had a little bit of spare time. And that's a good filler. Although it is that sense of if you go to heaven, which would you rather? So yeah, it was that sense of let's do something Saturday evening, used to godly play, used to craft activities. So trying to do that. And there weren't, the idea maybe in the future is have a couple more crafts that they can rotate through, but this one, there just wasn't a lot with the parable of the unforgiving servant. It doesn't leap off with craft activities. There were some messy church ideas and I went, don't like that, don't like that, don't like that. So that's weird. So that's where we're headed with Sunday school. do you guys have any thoughts, questions? Disagree with me adamantly, or
Your Tarragindi teacher is great.
you are wonderful.
This is what you just said before about Mount Gravatt and Tarragindi. They're the two places with Sunday school.
Yep.
And for the next few months, when does it change to the new system, which I've forgotten what that is? But
May.
at the moment, May, is it?
Yep,
So
yep.
before May. So at the moment, there are 2 services on each week, putting Saturday evening separately, and Sunday. There's 2 morning services. So Tarragindi is the second, is it? First and the
No.
second?
Yeah, Tarragindi is first and second.
And
And
there's
Mount
no
Gravatt is
Tarragindi first and third.
yeah, Mount Gravatt is first and third. Yep. Yep.
Okay. So Tarragindi misses out on a opportunity of Sunday school, but if the kids have
Yes.
gone to Saturday night anyway,
Yep.
just means Mount Gravatt kids could have 3 if they were. They could have 4 actually if they were to go Mount Gravatt, Yeronga, Mount Gravatt, then combined, they'd be set. So in many ways, what we're really doing is not saying our area of Sunday school is a child minding thing. That's not what we're doing at all.
No.
But we are emphasising it is not the ultimate, the only, the most important faith formation area. That is, we are trying to get that into families. Therefore, we are still providing resources to parents in various ways, so that they can pick it up, as well as Wednesday afternoon. When is it? Video Tuesday, is it? But the Wednesday afternoon, they video. So giving those opportunities still, but then when it does come to a Sunday school time, what we need to do, and I noticed that Southside and Sunday school have the same initials, so maybe we can do a change there somehow. Just need to change. Do we need to? Well, people will still have an expectation of what is going to be done to their children, grandchildren, or otherwise on Sunday during church. So there's obviously an education needed for why we are doing it differently from what they, one, expect, two, probably experienced themselves between 30 and 50 years ago, and may well have been repeating that for the last 30 or 50 years. So there's a bit of education all round there. Maybe we need a children, family, youth ministry team to educate some people.
That's right. And
not to educate them negatively, just to bring them on board to how they can contribute to that, either as a teacher or as a parent, as a grandparent, and make it a positive experience for everybody. Because we're not trying to leave Sunday school out. No. We're just trying to develop a much better or more effective faith formation in the families. And that will struggle when some families may not be in the position to do that. So there's some work at the other end of the generational thing for the youth workers, all of us, to bring those people on board, or wherever it needs to be done in that family unit, which can be quite an extended unit in some cases.
Very well said.
I think there's lots of things we as a church need to get behind and understand and deliver upon.
Yep. And part of why we're having this discussion tonight is to start that or continue that education of this is why we're doing it. And it's so good to have people watching later on. So those who are tuning in later, thank you for joining us. And I was one of the people who's part of our Queensland Uniting Church Intergenerational People's Network, is doing a counselling course at the moment. She emailed me about a month ago and said, "Oh, could I do some counselling coaching with you? Not counselling, coaching with you, and it'll be free." It's like, yeah, that's cool. So we met a couple of weeks ago and we were talking about this stuff. She's like, "Well, what could you do?" It's like, "Well, we could talk about it on Tuesday evening. We could encourage those that watch on Tuesday evening to talk with others about it. So start to spread out and for me to find other ways to communicate. So yeah, so it's that process of how do we continue that communication. So now you two are two of our brand ambassadors who can go and share.
Yeah.
But yes, we'll
Yeah.
continue.
I thought we were your brand ambassadors anyway.
I'm sure you were. I was hoping you were.
So, with what you're saying, and me being a Sunday school teacher, and me not having changed how I teach Sunday school in the last 20 years, should I have changed?
It's not necessarily like, probably if you're thinking, how do I use this to cause interaction with the kids, that's helpful. But that sense of Sunday school, to some degree, keep doing what we're doing, it's fine, but we need to make sure from a family point of view, it's not, okay, our faith formation happens on Sunday. It's our faith formation happens at home, and Sunday helps to facilitate that.
And I do try to do games that gets them to know each other and interact with each other and build up those friendships.
No. Doing fine. So yes, it's not going to change hugely on a Sunday morning, but we need to get in families' mindsets that that's not the be all and end all.
Okay.
We better finish up so that Rod can jump into another Zoom.
Yes.
Thank you for joining us. Thank you for joining us, people who tuned in later, and we will see you
Yes.
again soon. Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye.